Imagine breaking records before your first professional snap and getting punished for it. That's exactly what the NFL world thinks happened to Shedeur Sanders, the highly touted quarterback and son of Deion, Primetime Sanders, who somehow fell all the way to the 144th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Despite lighting up college football with stats that screamed first-rounder, Shedeur tumbled to day 3 of the draft like a glitch in the Matrix. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. But this wasn't just bad scouting or even attitude concerns. No, according to one swirling theory, this freefall wasn't about football at all. It was about business. A potentially revolutionary contract clause called prime equity, one that allegedly gives Shedeur a direct 5.6% cut of all jersey sales tied to his NFL career. If true, this clause doesn't just change Shedeur's life. It threatens the very foundation of the NFL's business model. And let's just say, the billionaires in the owner's box? Yeah, they're not exactly thrilled. Now rewind the tape. Shedeur Sanders had everything going for him. A strong arm, elite pocket presence, high football IQ, and a media-friendly aura that most rookies would kill for. At Colorado, under the high-profile spotlight of Coach Prime himself, he was everywhere. Highlight reels, interviews, Instagram lives, TikToks. He wasn't just a quarterback. He was a brand. By the end of his college career, mock drafts had him comfortably in the top 20. Some analysts even floated him as a dark horse top 10 pick. His game wasn't perfect, sure, but no one expected him to slide out of day 2. Yet, that's exactly what happened. And it didn't feel like a case of best player available logic or teams prioritizing other needs. It felt intentional. Teams cited vague concerns. Too flashy, too focused on media, a distraction. You know, the kind of coded language that sounds familiar if you've been following the NFL long enough. But then came the twist that set Reddit threads ablaze. Rumors of a top-secret contract clause that sent NFL execs into full panic mode. Prime equity. Let's break this clause down. Allegedly, Shedeur's camp negotiated a deal that gives him a 5.6% equity share in all jersey sales tied to his NFL identity. Not a bonus. Not an endorsement. Equity. That means every time a fan buys a Shedeur jersey, a percentage of that revenue goes straight into his bank account. No middlemen. No revenue split after merch trickles through NFL pipelines. Real, direct profit, just like an owner. And here's where it gets messy. NFL owners love control. They love centralized revenue, licensing deals, and tightly managed player contracts that keep merchandising profits locked up in league coffers. Players may get bonuses, but true revenue shares? That's a red line. Because if one rookie can do it, what's stopping the rest? So when a prime equity rumor started swirling, it allegedly spooked owners across the board. Draft rooms reportedly began cooling on Shedeur not because of his skills, but because of what he represented. The first real challenge to the NFL's merch monopoly. The result? A draft day slide that felt more like a soft blacklist than a scouting fluke. But here's where the whole thing backfired. Spectacularly. Just weeks after the draft, official NFL shop numbers dropped. And guess who had the best-selling rookie jersey of the entire class? Not the number 1 overall pick. Not the Heisman winner. Not the viral combine freak. Shedeur Sanders. That's right. The guy they tried to fade ended up dominating the merch game, outselling everyone, which, of course, only added fuel to the prime equity conspiracy. Now, let's talk damage control. If NFL owners thought burying Shedeur's draft stock would erase his influence, they underestimated one crucial thing: the power of the modern athlete as a media brand. Shedeur didn't need a first-round salary to win. He already had millions of followers, YouTube content, a massive nil legacy, and the ultimate marketing weapon in his dad, Deion Coach Prime Sanders. He walked into the league with brand equity most veterans still don't have after 10 seasons. His slide didn't make him a cautionary tale. It made him a folk hero. And if the prime equity clause really exists, this kid just rewrote the rule book. We're talking about a potential $250 million merch windfall over his career if his popularity holds. That's quarterback money just from jersey sales. NFL teams reportedly tried to spin the situation. Leaks about Shedeur not interviewing well or being too brand-focused made the rounds. But come on, we know what this is. It's the old guard terrified of change. The idea that players could own a slice of the pie they bake? That's sacrilege to owners used to guarding every crumb. And let's not ignore the irony. In every other major sport, the trend is clear. Player empowerment is here. LeBron James, business empire. Equity in everything from Blaze Pizza to Spring Hill. Cristiano Ronaldo owns image rights and personal branding like a Fortune 500 company. But in the NFL, it's still fall in line and be grateful. Well, maybe not anymore. So, what do we make of this? Was Shedeur Sanders the victim of the NFL's silent financial gatekeeping? Or did he just pull off the most genius long game in sports history? If the prime equity clause is real, and the evidence is stacking up, this could be the beginning of a player revolution. A future where rookies walk into negotiations asking not for bonuses, but for ownership. It's poetic, really. The NFL wanted to make an example out of Shedeur. Instead, he might have become a blueprint. The draft punished his ambition. The fans rewarded it. And now, somewhere in an owner's suite, a billionaire is looking at jersey sales charts and sweating through a monogrammed dress shirt. Call it poetic justice. Call it corporate rebellion. Just don't call it a fluke. Because the numbers don't lie, and neither does the scoreboard on capitalism. So here's the real question. Was Shedeur Sanders just drafted, or did he just draft the future of the NFL? Let us know what you think. Is prime equity the next big wave in sports contracts, or just a spicy rumor with great PR timing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Give this video a like if you're all for players flipping the power dynamic. And don't forget to subscribe for more wild breakdowns from the world of celebrities, sports, and PR chaos. Because this is how NFL owners react to a jersey clause. Just wait until players start demanding stock options. See you in the next meltdown. Let's talk about the real reason NFL owners might be shaking in their luxury boots. Control over revenue streams. See, most fans don't realize just how tightly the NFL controls every dollar tied to player branding. Jerseys, video games, trading cards, even bobbleheads. All of it flows through centralized league channels. Players get a small cut, sure, but it's usually part of collective bargaining agreements, split evenly across teams and positions, regardless of who actually sells. The top-selling rookie and the bench-warmer punter? Same merch check. Fair on paper. But absolutely archaic when you consider the superstar era we live in. And here comes Shedeur Sanders, potentially holding a key to breaking that mold. If the prime equity clause is real, it doesn't just reward performance. It rewards influence, followers, engagement, personal brand power. All the things NFL contracts have traditionally ignored or undervalued. That's what makes this so disruptive. Because for the first time, a player might be profiting from exactly what makes him valuable in the modern era, his visibility. And if you think the other rookies aren't paying attention, think again. The locker room whispers have probably already started. Agents are taking notes. PR teams are adjusting strategies. Even veterans, especially ones with big followings, are likely wondering, wait, why don't I have equity in my own jersey sales? You can see the dominoes already lining up. Let's zoom out for a second. We are living in the age of the athlete as CEO. Players are no longer just game day performers. They're media companies, fashion icons, podcast hosts, and moguls in the making. The line between player and brand is not just blurry, it's gone. Look at Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. That wasn't just a relationship. It was a media event that sent jersey sales into orbit and created millions in free marketing for the NFL. Or look at guys like Pat Mahomes and Joe Burrow, who already have off-field revenue rivaling their contracts thanks to brand deals and social clout. The difference? Most of them are still cashing corporate checks. Shedeur, potentially, is writing his own. This is ownership versus endorsement, and that distinction makes all the difference. With prime equity, Shedeur wouldn't just benefit from a Nike deal or a lead push promo campaign. He would be earning from the organic fandom that his name, image, and style attract. Every time someone wears his jersey, he gets paid, not from a third-party cut, but from the core revenue pipeline of the league itself. And that's exactly what terrifies owners. Because if players start demanding a piece of their own fame, suddenly the NFL isn't just a league. It's a negotiation table, a decentralized business model where brand building isn't just tolerated, it's rewarded. That means less control for the owners, fewer take it or leave it rookie deals, and more pressure to recognize players as stakeholders, not just assets. In other words, a total business culture shift. Now let's indulge the theory even further. What if Shedeur's draft slide wasn't a sacrifice, but a strategy? Follow this. Falling the 144th pick means a smaller rookie contract, sure, but it also meant he avoided the first-round spotlight and the binding traditional structures that come with being a top pick. That lower profile may have given his camp more leverage to negotiate a unique, confidential clause without too much media interference. In fact, being drafted later may have made it easier to secure prime equity without immediate backlash. The teams picking that late, they need value. They're more willing to take risks, more flexible, less guarded by layers of corporate tradition. And what does Shedeur lose, really? The difference in rookie contract money? Peanuts compared to the potential merch royalties. If the average NFL jersey sells for $130, and Shedeur nets 5.6% of each sale, that's over $7 per jersey. Multiply that by hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of units sold across a 10-year career, we're talking serious generational wealth. And that's before factoring in spin-off merch, custom drops, collaborations, limited editions, retro throwbacks. Shedeur already understands media timing. You know there's going to be a prime bloodline limited run once his NFL stats stack up. If this is a conspiracy, it's the smartest one in NFL history. All of this circles back to one undeniable truth. The NFL is facing a new kind of pressure, not from external lawsuits or rule changes, but from its own players, demanding a new kind of respect. And whether or not prime equity is ever confirmed, the idea alone is enough to force the league into reckoning. Players now know they can demand more agency, more revenue, more say over how their likeness is monetized. The old shut up and play model, it's dying because Shedeur's success on social media, in merchandise, in building a fan base independent of the league, is proof that athletes don't need to be propped up. They are the product. And the league? Just the distribution channel. That's a terrifying realization for owners used to having all the power. If every rookie starts asking, where's my prime equity clause? Then what happens to the tightly controlled NFL hierarchy? Gone are the days when the only paths to wealth were Hall of Fame careers or commercials. Now, you can build a business empire before your first playoff game, and if your contract respects that, you win. So what happens from here? Well, one of two things. Option 1, the NFL adapts. The league quietly begins allowing more personalized revenue splits. Equity clauses are negotiated on a case-by-case basis. Merchandising becomes more flexible. Players get greater involvement in brand usage. Or, option 2, the NFL resists. The league cracks down, tightening rules, clamping down on third-party merch, and pushing back against anything that smells like independent ownership. But here's the kicker. The second option just fuels the fire. Fans want to support players directly. They want to wear Shedeur's jersey knowing it actually supports him. And players? They're watching closely. The toothpaste is out of the tube. The curtain's been pulled back. And every player, agent, and marketing manager is already dreaming about how they can replicate the prime equity model. So to recap, Shedeur Sanders might have negotiated the most radical rookie contract in NFL history. NFL owners might have tried to bury him for it, and fans definitely rewarded him anyway. Whether prime equity is confirmed or not, the theory itself has already made a mark. His players thinking bigger, fans rooting harder, and billionaires sweating through their post-game cigars. The best part? Shedeur doesn't even need to say anything. His jersey sales are doing all the talking. And so far, they're screaming. The era of ownership is here. So here's your closing thought. Was this a one-off power play? Or are we witnessing the opening chapter of a much bigger rebellion in pro football? Let us know in the comments. If you were an NFL rookie, would you risk your draft position for a piece of your brand? Is this the smartest play ever or a dangerous precedent? Would you take the cash up front or bet on yourself with long-term equity? And if you enjoyed this dive into the chaos behind the calm, hit that subscribe button. We got plenty more behind-the-scenes breakdowns where this came from. Until next time, keep your contracts creative and your jersey sales sky high. The revolution will not be televised, but it will be monetized. And just when you think it can't get any deeper, it absolutely does. Because beyond the league politics, beyond the merch math, and beyond the conspiracy whispers, there's something undeniably personal about Shedeur's journey. Something that makes this whole thing feel more like a calculated chess match than just another draft day anomaly. You have to remember, this isn't just a player trying to make it in the NFL. This is Deion Sanders' son. And if there's one thing Deion has taught the sports world, it's how to control the narrative. For years, Coach Prime has been rewriting the rule book on how to build legacy, not just through performance, but through presence. It's in his speeches, his style, the way he turns college games into full-on cultural events. So when Shedeur came up under that influence, it wasn't just about becoming a great quarterback. It was about becoming a franchise. And you can see the fingerprints of that philosophy all over this story. Most players spend their college years focusing on football and hoping someone notices. Shedeur? He was building a media brand while torching defenses. His highlights weren't just getting views. They were getting monetized. His interviews weren't just post-game sound bites. They were strategic brand building. His fashion, his confidence, his media savvy, it all signaled a player who understood he wasn't just being scouted for talent, but for cultural value, which makes the prime equity theory even more believable. Because this kind of player doesn't walk into a rookie negotiation asking for status quo. He walks in asking for legacy. He walks in knowing that jersey sales aren't just merchandise, they're currency. Not just financially, but symbolically. The jersey is the flag of a player's empire. And for someone raised in the prime-time school of business, that flag better pay dividends. Now imagine being one of the NFL's old-school owners, sitting in a draft room, hearing rumors that this young quarterback with 1 million Instagram followers and a Heisman-worthy season wants a direct revenue share from his jersey sales. Not a licensing deal, not a bonus, a literal stake in his own brand. That's the kind of idea that doesn't just ruffle feathers. It rewires the entire financial ecosystem of your sport. Because if one player has a leverage to pull this off, it sets a precedent. And precedents are poison to billionaires who love a tidy system where the league controls everything and players get in line. And let's not forget the power of silence in all this. The fact that no one has come out to confirm or deny the clause. That's where the theory really gains traction. Because if the story were completely false, you'd expect the league to shut it down hard and fast. A public denial, a league memo, something. But instead, all we've gotten is quiet discomfort and a suspicious lack of transparency, which is exactly the kind of vacuum where conspiracy thrives. And when that vacuum is paired with actual data, like Shedeur having the best-selling rookie jersey in the league, it's not hard to connect the dots. Even if the clause doesn't exist in writing, the optics alone are enough to make the theory feel true. Because in this case, perception might actually be more powerful than fact. You can almost hear the panic in the front offices. If Shedeur's draft slide was a punishment for trying to shift the paradigm, and fans still made him the top-selling rookie in the league, what does that say about the system? It says the old model is cracked. It says fans don't care about traditional hierarchies. They care about stories, personalities, resonance. And it says the next generation of players is watching very, very closely. There's probably already a handful of college athletes sitting with their agents, saying, I want what Shedeur has. Whether it's real or not doesn't even matter. The illusion is enough. The myth of prime equity is now part of NFL folklore, and it's going to influence negotiations, marketing strategies, and league politics for years to come. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The NFL, a league known for protecting its business interests with an iron fist, might have just helped birth a new kind of revolution, one driven not by player unions or labor strikes, but by savvy branding and social currency. They tried to bury Shedeur at pick 144. And in doing so, they made him a legend before he even took a professional snap. And the best part? He doesn't need to win a Super Bowl to win the narrative. Because what we're witnessing here isn't just a sports story, it's a business manifesto. It's a case study in how to outmaneuver an institution by playing a longer game. Shedeur's move, intentional or not, has already sparked conversations in locker rooms, boardrooms, and fan circles alike. And if you're the NFL, that's a nightmare. Not because one player is making money, but because he's showing others how to do it, too. There's a term for this kind of strategy: disruption. It's what Uber did to taxis, what Netflix did to Blockbuster. And now, Shedeur Sanders might have done it to the NFL's player compensation model. And let's not forget the broader cultural implications. This isn't just about economics. It's about empowerment. A young black quarterback from a media-savvy legacy family, rewriting the terms of his worth and demanding recognition on his terms. It sends a message far beyond football. It says that players aren't just athletes. They're entrepreneurs, influencers, investors, and the institutions that refuse to evolve with them, they're going to be left behind. That's the real threat here. Not a rookie contract, not even a jersey royalty check. The threat is the idea that players might stop asking for permission to build empires and start doing it without the league's blessing. So what happens next? Well, either the NFL adapts or gets dragged, kicking and screaming, into a new era. We might start seeing contract clauses that include merch percentages, or players forming merch companies that license their own names back to the league. Or even more radical, a future players' union push to standardize brand equity options across rookie deals. However it plays out, the toothpaste isn't going back in the tube. Shedeur's already won. Maybe not a championship. Maybe not Rookie of the Year yet, but he's shifted the conversation. And in the NFL, where narratives are tightly controlled and change comes slowly, shifting the conversation is a win in itself. And here's the kicker. The league needs players like him, whether they admit it or not. Shedeur's appeal isn't just about highlight reels. It's about charisma, storytelling, authenticity. He brings in a younger, more brand-aware audience. He generates buzz in a league that sometimes struggles to connect with Gen Z. He's what the NFL should want, a modern athlete built for a modern era. But that's the irony. The very thing that makes him valuable is what scared the league off: his independence, his influence, his refusal to shrink for the system. And now, the system might have to expand for him. So as the NFL heads into another season filled with hype headlines and hot takes, Shedeur Sanders is quietly sitting on what could be one of the most important off-field moves in recent football history. Whether the prime equity clause is real or not almost doesn't matter anymore, because the message has already been sent.